And I think that what a lot of people are lacking in their business is action. A lot of people spend a lot of time being ignorant or knowledge on ice instead of ignorance on fire. And it tends to be my train of thought that is not a good way to build a business. Action is everything because action makes things happen. And I know we talk a lot about two arms with me. We talk about the personal development arm and we talk about the action arm. And what I'm seeing a lot of is there's a lot of personal development going on in the network marketing world, especially since we are dealing obviously with coronavirus and maybe not so much action. And so I want you to ask yourselves, here's the real question here. How bad do you really want it? Like, how bad do you really want it? Because if you want anything in life, it doesn't even have to do with business necessarily, but if you want anything in life, I know you understand this. I know you have to take actions, and sometimes they're going to be messy, but you have to actually take that step forward to get things done. If you agree with that, put yes in the comments below. So do you really want it? Okay? Do you really want it? So action, honestly, is cheaper than planning. And I know that might sound weird. You can write that in the comments. Action is cheaper than planning. And what I mean by that is a lot of you are spending a lot of time and therefore probably a lot of money and a lot of resources planning the perfect business, planning the perfect whatever, plan. And by the way, if you do share, I will give you a full name shout out, like Lee Bull Bramhall, who is so beautiful because he shared. But I have to tell you that the actual planning is costing you time and money because time is money. So can we start taking more actions and not wasting our time? I think that is like tip numero uno, okay? The next thing is that inaction is scarier. Inaction in your business and in your life creates a situation where you don't know what you're gonna get. When it comes to taking action, especially consistent action, you can basically measure everything. You can basically say, okay, I'm so consistent that I know the results I'm going to get. Does that make sense? If it does, you can put yes in the comments below and you can share because I feel like your teams need to know this. So that inaction is scarier. That inaction is why you don't have customers. That inaction is why you don't have recruits. That inaction is why you don't have a business. It's because you're spending all that time planning. For the most part, I see this. It becomes procrastination nation instead of just doing things. Like messy action sometimes I think is really important. Okay? The interesting thing about that is that motivation follows action. So if you're somebody who is lacking motivation, thank you for sharing, Mary Udston. Thank you for sharing. That actual action creates motivation because then you can start to create results. You can start to expect results. Thank you for sharing, Shay K. Irvin. Thank you for sharing, Jennifer Williams. Thank you for sharing. You have to create motivation in yourself by taking action. What I find is that the more action I take, the more I trust myself. The more actions I take in business and in life and in whatever, I start to almost create this like protection mechanism, like almost a shield around me because I trust myself. Thank you for sharing, Carla Denhan. I love it. Okay, the next thing is that action creates courage. The more you do, the better you get at, the more courageous you are. I'm not that worried anymore about what I look like on live, what I sound like on live, what people are perceiving me as. It doesn't actually matter to me because I become more courageous. And I say that when it comes to Facebook Live because I know a lot of you have this weird, like, stress, not courage, not confidence around it. And I just want to tell you that it doesn't start with courage. It starts with being scared. It starts with messy action. It starts with, oh my gosh, like I'm not good at this. And we were just talking upstairs. I was doing like a little coaching thing upstairs up on this deck. I got a little bit sunburned, I think, because we were up there for a while and it's really, really sunny here today. I was saying, the thing about Facebook Lives and the reason they build businesses so quickly, thank you for sharing, Janine Harkins. The reason they build businesses so quickly is that you can't hide. Right? You can't hide behind a Facebook Live. Thank you for sharing, Pamela Holt. And so if you think I was this good on Facebook Live when I started 5 years ago, you're crazy. Like I was a mess. I was a disaster. It was not good. I could not speak the way I can speak now. It comes with time. And so I get more courageous around it because as I grow, as I develop, as I become better in my actions, again, you can't hide behind lives. Action also tends to humble you because you screw up. Like how many of you agree with that? You can put humble in the comments. Like you have to get humble when it comes to being somebody who takes a lot of action because you're going to screw up constantly. You're going to mess up on Facebook Live. You're going to mess up when you do a presentation. You're going to mess up when you go, to pitch somebody for the first time. You're going to mess up when you're trying to say, oh yeah, better fat loss muscle preservation. Oh crap. What is it? Oh God, what does the product do? You're going to forget, but that creates humility and people connect to humility. People don't connect to perfect people. People don't connect to all of your great stuff in your life. They connect to the vulnerabilities. And I think that the more vulnerable I get in my life, the more I share in my life, the more the action takes over, and then I build big businesses. That's what I do. It's like people are like, everything Jessie Lee touches turns to gold. It's because I have the courage and the ability to screw up and know that I'm not perfect, right? So many of us want things to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. We all have different skill sets, okay? The next thing is that, here's the thing. So many of us are over there making excuses. And so I want us to stop with the excuses, because excuses are not getting you anything that you want. So action, action, action. So many people, instead of taking action, they start making excuses though. And some of these maybe sound a little bit like you. I hear this all the time. Things like, oh my gosh, the conditions aren't perfect. Well, sweetheart, let me tell you, there's no such perfect conditions. You know, in business especially, it's like you think you have the perfect solution. You think you know exactly what you're doing. You think you understand all the things. And the great irony is you don't. The great irony is you're going to screw up. The great irony is that nothing is ever perfect. You have the perfect thing in your head. It's not going to end up perfect. And so the conditions not being right, well, welcome to the world. Like, conditions are never always 100% right. Wow. The next thing is that people, they don't commit, right? They stop taking actions because they start saying things themselves like, oh my gosh, it's not easy. So maybe I picked the wrong, maybe I need to change something. Maybe I need to, have you ever caught yourself saying this before? I get this a lot, right? I get a lot of networkers, and I love you guys so much, and I do, you know, y'all know how I feel about our team, okay? And this is not to pitch you, this is a safe space, you can always share. But I have to tell you, it drives me crazy when people will message me and they say, oh gosh, I've been trying this business for 2 months, 6 months, 9 months, nothing's happening. And I'm like, is really nothing happening, or is there a compound effect happening in the background that you don't realize? But some of us stop ourselves. We stop ourselves from actually making progress. We stop ourselves because we get nervous. We lose our confidence a little bit. Like, wow, lots of Aussies. Holy smokes. What is going on, my people? Okay, so maybe it is the right path. Okay, but maybe you need to keep following the path. Maybe that's the conversation we need to talk about. So many of us are on the right path and then we get distracted. There's a reason why our company likes rhinoceroses a lot, like rhinos. It's because they're so laser focused. They have no peripheral vision. If I am so focused on what I'm doing and taking action, then I don't know what Marco Piazza is doing, and I don't know what Michele Vicentin is doing. I don't know what anyone is doing except for me. I don't know, because I'm so focused on my own path. And so too many of us are, instead of doing this, does this make sense? Y'all share if it makes sense. Instead of doing this, we're going, oh, well, look at that over there. Oh, well, hold on a second. That's happening over there. Wait a minute. They have coffee over there. Who cares about coffee? Coffee tastes like dirty bean water. Okay, like, who cares? Who cares? Stay in your lane and take action in your lane. You will have much bigger results than looking all over the place and seeing what everybody else is doing. The next thing I see a lot of the time is people think, oh my gosh, I don't make a difference. And so I want to be the one to tell you that it makes a huge difference. I have a story around this, and it's one of my favorite networking stories. So I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 9 years, which is so crazy. Oh my goodness. So for 9 years, full-time entrepreneur, whatever. I love what I do. And there are so many times that I know those people who are maybe new think, oh gosh, I don't think that I matter. And so it's been my passion, I guess, in regards to coming into being a leader in this kind of profession to make sure everybody feels seen. Thank you for sharing, Bernadette Baynock Kandetsky. And so as an example, this is a really cool story. When I was in year 2 of direct sales, there was a car bonus. And in order to hit the car bonus, you had to have 400,000 yearly sales. The next tier was 500, the next tier 600, the next tier 700, 8, 9, a million. Okay? And I knew we had 4, I knew we had 5, I knew we had 600,000 in sales my second year in business. However, I had no idea if we were at 700,000 because the way the company was set up, they blacked out all sales and recruits for the month of December. So you were literally selling and recruiting blindly. If that makes sense, put yes in the comments for me. So we were selling blindly the whole month of December, and in February was our big award ceremony. And my whole thing, ever since I started this, was to make everybody feel seen. So 9 years of like, I love you, I love you, I love you, you matter. No matter how much you're selling, no matter how many people you're recruiting, everyone's presence matters. And that's just been my leadership philosophy for a long time. And so we were selling in December. We get to the award ceremony in February, and what do you know? Yeah, Elizabeth, you better, sister. What do you know? Thank you for sharing, Jennifer Williams. Our team sold 700,000. Put this in the comments for me. 700,045. That was our sales sales total for the entire year of 2012. I say that to you so you understand that $45 was the difference between a huge promotion for me. And so if you as a leader can start taking action and appreciating every single person so nobody feels like they don't fit in, if they're not selling $1,000, $2,000, $10,000, $40,000, $100,000 a month, that's where the magic lies. And so take that action and understand that you matter. Every single sale matters. Every single time you show up on a live, it matters. Every single time you show up on a training, it matters. Every single time that you show up in your business for yourself, it matters. Even if you don't see the results right now, that's not the point. You're missing the point. Because when people say, I'm not making any progress, progress sometimes is invisible. Progress sometimes is mental fortitude. Progress sometimes is showing up more often. Progress sometimes is having more conversations. Progress sometimes is just having more conversations with your sponsor. Progress is not necessarily what you think it is. And so if you get stuck in this thing where you're comparing yourself, which is ultimately what it is, you're going to stop taking action. You're going to stop taking action because you're going to go, oh my gosh, like it's not enough. It's not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not making progress. But you are. Because if you're learning, then you're growing. If you're not learning and you're not growing, then you're dying. And so you have to sometimes appreciate that maybe your growth looks different than the people all around you, but that doesn't mean you're not growing. Okay? That doesn't mean, it just means like if you took 2 flowers, I love this. Okay, put some flowers, put some emoji flowers in the comments for me. It'll make me feel really happy. Okay? So if you take 2 flowers, if you take a peony, peonies are my favorite flower in case anybody's wondering. Okay? So if you take peonies and you take lilies, okay? So you take 2 totally different flowers, you plant them in the ground next to each other, right? What's gonna happen? Well, one's going to bloom into a peony and one is going to bloom into a lily. They are going to look completely different. They're going to smell completely different. They're going to be completely different colors. They're going to be completely different plants. You are all different plants. You're all different flowers. Grow in your own way. I'm not going to say like grow where you're planted, you know, because I don't want to be that person, but like we're all different. We're all different. So what growth looks like to somebody can be totally different than what it looks like to you. That doesn't mean you're not growing. That doesn't mean you're not expanding. It doesn't mean you're not getting better. Progress is happening even if you can't see it. It's kind of like when you talk about ducks, and ducks are super calm on the water, but under, like their feet are like going crazy. Sometimes you just need to be the duck. Make the progress even when it doesn't look like anything is happening. Something is happening. You are not trapped. And a lot of people, when they are not taking a lot of action, it's because somewhere psychologically they get in their head, they're like, I'm trapped, I'm stuck, I don't know what I'm doing. Of course you know what you're doing, okay? You need to do those things though. You need to not feel trapped by your inaction. You want to grow, you need to take action. You want to do more, take action. You want to be more, take action. You want to have a different life, take action. You can't change your life by sitting around and like wishing, hoping, and praying. I talk about network marketing a lot because people are like, I'm in network marketing. And I'm like, yeah, how's it going for you? Well, I'm over here just kumbaya. I just want to make $1 million. How's that working for you? You know, I don't really think that works. It's called network marketing. It's not net hope marketing. It's not net pray marketing. It's not wish marketing. No, network marketing. It's going to take work. You are not trapped, but you have to take those steps forward. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good day, good evening for all of you, okay? So many of you sometimes are like, oh, I'm just a perfectionist. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too whatever. You know what? Like, you actually are going to be too old, too young, too whatever for some people, but you're also going to be perfect for a lot of people. And so if you don't take the actions, then people never know. If you don't take the actions, people never find you. I am too old for some people for me to be their sponsor. I am too young for some people to be their sponsor. I am too female for some people to be their sponsor. I am too loud for some people to be their sponsor. I'm too wild for some people to be their sponsor. But for a lot of people, for thousands and thousands and thousands of people, I am perfect. And so I say that because so many of you, your perfect prospects are out there, yet you're not taking messy action. You're not showing up every day. And then you're wondering why people don't find you. It's amazing the amount of people who message me and say, okay, I'm ready to join your team. I've been following for 1 year, 2 years, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. And I'm like, oh my gosh, 9 years? They're like, yeah, I was just kind of curious. Make sure you're consistent. I want to make sure you would still show up and take action. I want to see if when you go to Italy, if you still do the thing. I'm like, oh, I still do the thing in Italy. Okay, like I show people all the time through my actions. And so you can't be something for everybody. I was listening to a podcast with Lewis Howes and Kevin Hart. It's a really good episode. You can check it out on his School of Greatness podcast. And then while you're doing that, check out my podcast, Jessie Lee podcast.com. Someone put it in the comments. Thank you. Okay. But I was listening to this podcast and Kevin Hart was talking to Lewis and he says, I am awesome. Like, there are still people that don't like me. I am a good person. I am funny. I care about people. I love people. I work hard. I'm a good person, and I know I'm a good person. He says this on there. He's like, have I screwed up? Yes. Publicly, very loudly, I've screwed up. He's like, but It doesn't matter. I'm a good person. And so I wonder how many of you are so concerned with what other people are thinking about you that you're focusing on the 5 people who think you're crazy. You're focusing on the 10 haters in your Instagram who are like, you're doing one of those things. Yeah, I am doing one of those things, right? You're so focused on the loud, annoying, negative voices that you don't even hear the positive voices everywhere else. Like, let me check you guys really quickly. Put yes in the comments if I'm right, no in the comments if I'm wrong. How many of you, when you make a post, you read all the comments and you like the positive ones? You're like, yes, Shay is gassing me up. Yes. Oh, sure. Thanks, Joanne. Hey, Janie. Hey, Kira. What's up, Donna Ray? Oh, sister. Like, you love them, right? You're very, yay, this feels really good. But then how many of you see the one negative comment? Like, I'm wondering, hey, Ashley, like, how many of you see the one negative comment? You see the person who's like, oh my God, like, why are you wearing that? Oh my God. Okay, like, just the other day, I make a post. I've got this photo, like these group photos, because I've got all these Italians around me, and somebody comments like, what is wrong with you people? This is a pandemic. You need to get away from each other. Like, it was this super negative, like, you are stupid. You're supposed to be social distancing. I was like, wow. Like, it sounds to me like you need to escape quarantine, sir. Like, I did not internalize it. Instead of reading it over and over again, I just deleted it. I knew it. I knew it was going to be yes. We spend so much time reading the negative, we drown out all the positive. And I was just talking upstairs about this, but I guarantee all those freaking keyboard warriors, all those people who are like, on Instagram and on Facebook and telling you crazy things and saying mean things about you, they would never say it to your face. They would never go up to you and be like, did you know that you're stupid and you're in a scam and like you look ugly and you're fat and like you have like something's wrong with your eyebrows? I'm like, I know this one arches a little more. Like, oh God, did you notice? Now you're looking at my eyebrows. I was kidding. They're perfect. Okay, like... Like, I'm telling you, there's so much more positivity around you, but for whatever reason, we let the negativity drown out all the good for no good reason. So instead of doing that, can you take the time to maybe not internalize that and pay attention to all the good people? Because those people would never come up to you and say anything about your parenting. They would never come up to you and say anything about how dumb you are. They would never do that. So why do you care so much? Right? They never would. I think that people overall are lovely. And I think for some reason they get all up on their like, hi horses, right? And they feel like they have to have all of their opinions. Well, you know what? Opinions are like buttholes. Everyone's got one and a lot of them stink. And then in general, I want to remind you that just because you may hear crickets, it doesn't mean that nobody is listening. Okay, and I think that's really important for those of you who are out there taking the action and you're starting to feel some type of way. You're like, I'm taking the actions, I'm doing the things, I'm ad tagging, messaging, I'm doing everything my sponsor says to do, and I'm hearing crickets. Like, story time again really quickly. I, honest to God, almost stopped doing Facebook Lives. This is like 5 years ago, okay? Almost stopped doing them when I did my 700 some odd day streak because I felt like no one was watching. How many of you can relate to that? You can put yes in the comments, okay? And thank you for sharing. I appreciate you. I felt like no one was watching. I would go live and it'd be like the same 2 people. I would go live, nobody would share. I would go live, it was like crickets, okay? Like little bugs, okay? You can drop in bugs in the comments, fine. So I was like, nobody's listening. Why am I even doing these Facebook Lives? This is actually pointless. I have no followers. I only have like 300 Facebook friends. This is not good. And I went, and it's like God works in mysterious ways, right? I go to the grocery store. I'm in the grocery store down the street from my house in Maryland at the time. And this lady's looking at me so weird. Like, she's like, and I was like, what the? Why is she staring at me? Why is this creepy lady staring at me? I'm very uncomfortable. And she comes up to me, she goes, oh my God, Boss Lee. And I'm like, hi, how are you? Who are you? She goes, I watch every single one of your Facebook Lives. I love them so much. And I said, what's your name? And she says her name. She introduces me to herself. And I said, I have never seen a comment from you. I've never seen a like. She goes, oh, no, I don't like anything. I don't comment on anything, but I watch everything. I'm like, are you serious right now? Now that woman has since become a customer, a recruit, it happens, right? But so many of you think, oh, I'm just gonna stop posting. I don't need to make Instagram stories. I don't need to make Facebook stories. I don't need to do TikTok. I don't need to do YouTube. I don't need to do a podcast. I don't need to go live. I don't need to do any of these things because nobody's watching. They are watching. Just because you hear crickets doesn't mean nobody is listening. And don't let those perfect plans kill your possibilities, because if you're starting to internalize everything and everything has to be perfect and everything has to be a certain type of way, it doesn't make any sense. You're killing your possibilities. You are. You have to step into your power more. You have to take more of those messy actions so that you can achieve your possibilities. If you told me 9 years ago my life was going to look like this, I would have very genuinely laughed at you. I would have been like, that's literally not a thing. Like, people don't know. You don't just sit in a villa in Italy, for a couple of weeks just because you can, and work with your team just because you can, and people will actually listen to you and want to be coached with you just because you can. I've been like, you a crazy fool. We are almost at 1 million downloads on my podcast, by the way. So friends, go listen immediately, because that is ridiculous. I would have been like, that's nuts. 1 million downloads, 1 million listens. I've had well over 1 million views on Facebook Live. That's cuckoo to me. It's crazy to me. And I say that because if I would have planned it, if I would have had to have everything be perfect, it would have killed all of my possibilities. So what are the things in your life that you are killing your possibilities because you are over planning? And then the last thing I will say is that you are not your mistakes. Just because you have failed at something does not mean you will fail at everything. Just because you've messed up at something doesn't mean you mess up at everything. Just because you're not great at everything doesn't mean that you're not going to be great at this. And so don't let past failures make you feel some type of way. You are not your mistakes. Just because you were in a bad relationship doesn't mean you're a bad partner. Just because you made a mistake with your kid does not mean you're a bad mom. Just because you missed an event does not mean you're a bad business owner. Just because you screwed up a customer-client conversation does not mean you don't know how to run a business. It means you're human. But you are not your mistakes, and you are not the things that you have done in the past. That is just a thing that you did. We have all messed up. We have all screwed up. We have all made those mistakes. And so just stay true to who you are and understand that your mistakes do not define you. They are just part of the human existence. And